What's up, everybody? It's Patrick from WP Builder Helper. Same name, same title, same everything. We never change it up here. So, anyway, today we have a very, very special sponsor, and I'm going to introduce them right after this intro. But this is a long awaited builder that you guys have been wanting to see for quite some time. As a matter of fact, I think it's the most wanted builder on this channel in terms of people requesting it, wanting to know the differences between it and other builders, and we're going to get into all of that. We're going to tackle it probably not in one video. We're going to do it in multiple videos, but this is going to be the basic overview. So without further ado, let's get started with Zion Builder. What's up, everybody? Here we are on Zion's homepage. I wanted to mention something that happened with this sponsorship. You know, I like to be transparent in everything I do, and I like to be honest. Zion had approached me about this probably a while back, and they just gave me one license for this. That's all it was. It was a basic license to let me test it, and basically I was so impressed with the free license that I ended up buying it. But if you're somebody who maybe is sitting on the fence, or you're curious about why I bought it, I'm going to go into that a little bit later about why I think that it's a decent buy. But I also want to mention they're running a deal. I don't have an affiliate link for this because I don't like spamming affiliate links for AppSumo. But for the most part, they do have this deal for $99. Unlimited lifetime use for their website. If you are someone who maybe missed out on some of the things like Oxygen's lifetime, which I think is still going on, or maybe you just never wrapped your head around Oxygen and you're somebody who is coming from, like, you know, Elementor, this is a great buy. $99 for any kind of builder right now is awesome. It's one of, and especially for the lifetime license, I think that this is extremely, extremely generous. Most builders right now are offering like 1,000 licenses in most cases, which your average person is not going to go through 1,000 licenses, but it's to stay away from misuse and everything like that. And, you know, so that's what's going on. I just wanted to let you know before we jumped into the video and started talking about Zion, why I bought a license. But as we go through it, and you'll understand what's going on with it and why I bought it. So let's jump right into Zion and let's start working with it. And let me show you some of the things that I think are really cool, and let's get started. So Zion has, as I mentioned before, is a very familiar builder. For those people who are coming over from Elementor or Beaver Builder or something like that, and they've been looking for a fast builder, and maybe they couldn't wrap their heads around something like Oxygen, or maybe you struggled with Bricks, or Bricks is just too new, or whatever the case is. I find that Zion Builder is fitting a niche right now that's it's good. It's got a head start on a lot of the other builders, and that's good to see, and we're going to talk about that more as we go along. But I figured let's just start building with it, and I can show you some of the things that I both like and dislike about it. That way we can go through it, and I can walk you through it. So first off, Zion Builder has a backend similar to that you would find with Elementor. It's got settings, permissions, templates, tools, system info, and everything alike. And with the general settings, you can basically allow certain things. So if you didn't want to allow pages, you could take and you could turn that off. You've got font options here where you could add custom fonts if you want custom fonts, or you want Google fonts or Adobe fonts. They're all here, which is awesome. It's something that people like. There's also custom icons. This is something that you should not pass up. Custom icons are important because a lot of people have been wanting these, especially the fact that you can add the SVG icons in, because a lot of people are switching from these bloated font awesome icons to more SVG library packs. And I think that that's a pretty important thing, because they're making their way, it's making for faster websites, basically. There's also some presets in here. So basically these are colors. You've got local and global. that you can add, but if you want to add in a color, you can go in here and you can literally pick a color and there's your color right there. And then once I think you click off of it, it's added to it. And you can kind of remove it. You can go in and you can do whatever you want. I will mention, this is one of the first things that I noticed I had an issue with. If you copy and paste, because I like using third-party codes, and you don't put this in, this is more of a bug than anything else, the color will not actually work. So for instance, let's say I copy this to 9, or let's say 10 or something like that. It usually doesn't work when I've tried it before. So putting in a completely different color, it seems like it's working this time, but the last time I copied and pasted a color in, it did not work. So that was just a minor thing, but it's definitely something that needs to be fixed. Another thing that you have in here is you have a role manager. Now, this is very similar to Elementor, Brizy, even Oxygen, where you can add in user-specific permissions so that they cannot edit templates, or if you don't want them editing pages, but you do want them editing post, you can kind of go in there and do that. This is becoming pretty standard among it, and it's good to see that this is already inside of Zion Builder. You also have templates here, which are published, drafts, and trashed. You can add a template here, which basically allows you to build your page quicker. So for instance, if you had blog post, you could add templates to it so that you just make everything quicker for your clients if you're going to use it. There's also blocks here, so allows you to easily build some blocks out. And you can see it's got the title, the short code, anything like that. So if you're wanting to add in a block code, you could do that too. That's pretty nice. It's very, very helpful when you're trying to custom build stuff for somebody and you want to just add in blocks, you could do that. You've got some tools, regenerate files, very, very normal. Sync library, also very, very normal. You see that a lot. You've also got replace URL, similar to Elementor and everything like that, which is also very good. And then you've got your system info right here. So this gives you all your info of everything that's going on and what you're running if for some reason you need support. So let's jump into Zion Builder. Like I said, it's a very familiar builder because it works similar to something like Elementor. It feels like Elementor in some cases, but it feels like a better Elementor. So you can add a new component in here. So if we add a component, you can say, oh, do you just want it to hit the entire site, homepage, all search pages? Anybody who is used to almost every builder out there knows that these are specific tags and things like that that you can use so that you can take and you can have something built. You could also use exclude from, and you give it a title. So if you wanted to call it, let's say we wanted to call it header, we can call it header. We can now save it, and this would be the header for the site. So you can set different parameters. So for instance, this is the default template. We're going to remove this one. This basically, I think, applies to the whole entire site, at least when I did it before it did. But if you're trying to add custom headers where maybe it only applies on certain pages, or maybe it only applies to the home page but then changes, they've already got that built in. That's very good. We like that. One thing I will note, another thing I ran into is a weird, funky error, I guess you would call it, is if you go in here and you edit this, like, let me show you. Let me see if I can do it. So if you go in here and you edit this, let's add in a section for headers. And this is something that threw me for a loop in the very beginning, but I just want to make it mentioned. So if you go in here and then you don't save out of it, like, let me move this down so you can see. There'll be this close component up here. Let's say we don't save out of this. We just close it. And then you have to go change something because you forgot that you needed menus or something like that, right? So let's go back to Appearance, and then we go to Zion Builder, and then we go into the Theme Builder. You'll notice this header is still here. So let me move me back up. This header is still here, and it's unassigned. According to this, you can edit it, but when I edit it, it goes to a blank page. I'm not exactly sure why that happens, but let me tell you, the easiest way to go back and fix that is to take this, because none of this works. Like, the edit doesn't work. It feels like it should, but it doesn't. It doesn't let you edit it. But anyway, if you move it over here, then you can go into it and edit it, and then it will show, hey, you have an autosave, press the save and publish button, and you'll basically see it, whatever. So, you know, it'll let you do that. You'll have it. So let's start building this like I was talking about, and we'll start working through it. So Zion Builder has a number of templates already set up. It's definitely not the most extensive template-wise, but the templates are good. They're very, very nice templates. Very, very, I don't know. I guess you would call it like a modern template. I don't see anything that's like shocking in it that looks mind-blowing, but I think it looks nice. The one thing I will say is that the templates do run together a little bit. I wish that they were separated a little bit more. There was a way that I could go in and I could look at them, I don't know, in a different manner. The way that these are sorted, I mean, there is this sort button, so I guess I could do it like that, but it's the way that they have this grid, it's weird. It's hard to kind of look at, but regardless, they do have some templates. They only have one home page. It'd be nice if they had some more. I'm sure there's more coming. And then there's elements. So these elements, which I really, really like, something that I've seen with other builders is you run into people who want just the elements of a page. They don't want a home page. Well, most of these elements are from those other templates. And so there's sections, essentially, that are broken down that you can use that are from those templates. And I like that because if you go in and you see something in the templates, you can kind of take it for a test drive and use just one of the elements. So they have a decent amount of elements, and when you go into the pro sections, there's a lot more. This is where you get to see a lot more of the elements. So they've got pricing tables and you know, another thing I'd love to see is they've got this thing called Pro Element 50. I'd love to see this named differently where it's called what it is. So this is a pricing table. This is a pricing table. This is a process table. You know, call these processes and just separate them like that because that's what they are here. So they should be labeled, instead of element 43, call it process 1, process 2, process 3. It just makes it a lot easier, makes it a lot more organized. But most of this is very, very good. You will notice that some of it is black and white. You don't have the option like you do in Brizy, where if you find something you like, oh, I like this, but there's no black and white version. Normally, you'd have something that you could, like, you know, click to turn it black and white. They don't have that. But it's not necessarily a game breaker. It's not hard to change anything from black and white to color or vice versa. They've got a lot of different things that are in here. You can see some of these are actually dark and light. So there are some dark and light, just not all of them are dark and light. They've even got some video stuff in here, and if you click on any of these, you can obviously go in and you can look and see what it does, or just look at it, look and see how it looks, which is really, really neat. I accidentally clicked out of that, shouldn't have clicked out of that. And then, you know, you've got most of the standard things. You've got hero content, partners, logos, and everything. So in our case, we're building a header. We're going to go with this header, and it's a very basic header, but I like it. The first thing I'm going to do automatically is get rid of this because this is just a plain text logo. It's not my favorite. It's great if you're using a specialized font, but I want to use an image. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to do insert. And you can go in here just like Elementor and hit image. And you can take this and you can click it, and if you want to move it, you can move it similar to that of Oxygen, where it kind of highlights wherever you're moving it to. Now, I did automatically load some things on here that I wanted to use. So for instance, I'm going to use this logo. And let's take a look. Let's move me down to the bottom. So I'm going to block out this. That way we can see what we're working with at the top. Since so many different things are involved with the top of this, I wanted to move. So in here, you'll have a general tab, a styling, and an advanced. So once again, very familiar territory. You've got the ability to, you know, add your images. You've got some dynamic data in here, so they already have that. Over here on the left side, you've got the ability to see it from a laptop, tablet, and mobile. And don't worry, we're going to go back in and fix that little logo problem. I'm going to show you how to do that. You've also got some settings here. So you've got some page settings that just tell you, hey, this is your page title. It's published. The page layout is default, and you can include custom CSS and JavaScript. You've got dynamic data sources, so you can see what it looks like on a single page, post type, taxonomy. Then you've got some global CSS if you want to use global CSS. Once again, if you're somebody who's familiar with all of that, then you should be fine. You've also got your tour right here, keyboard shortcuts, about Zion Builder, back to WP dashboard, Zion Builder dashboard, which goes straight back to Zion Builder. And then you can view the post. And from here, you've got different options to save page, save template, and all of this. Up above, we've got our revision panel. And then from here, we've got the templates library. If you're ever just looking to add the templates library, you can just kind of go into it. And then from here, you've got your tree panel, which, by the way, is very, very useful. This is something that a lot of builders have, but they stole a page from Divi, at least when it comes to this, because they added in the wireframe. I actually like the wireframe because I find that sometimes it's hard when you have stuff on top of one another to see exactly where something is. And so the wireframe just helps break that down a little bit, and now you can kind of see the columns and how they're set up and why they're set up and everything like that. And you can go in and you can actually, adjust any of these. If you go to edit, it'll take you straight to that column. This does bring up another point of something that I was hoping that I was going to see, but I didn't see. When you click on something like an image, you can see it highlights this. However, just clicking on the image, it doesn't actually take you to that thing. It takes you to that thing in the tree panel, but if we close out the tree panel, you'll notice very quickly that it doesn't take me anywhere. So me tapping this doesn't change this. That's kind of annoying. Now, when you double click it, it does. But I was kind of hoping that when I tap on something, like if I go to here, I'd like it to be able to go to the options. That would be neat if there was some kind of button or something that you could turn on in the back end so that I didn't have to go all the way up here, click this, click edit. It would just save me clicks. Now, like I said, you can double click. So if I close this and you do it like this, that'll double click and that'll bring you to the section that you're in. However, if you're someone who's doesn't want to do the double click or whatever the case is, then that's a little bit cumbersome in some ways. So for the most part, it works very much similar to what you've known before in the past with Elementor. The one thing I will say is that they are still using sections and columns, which you don't get with some other builders. For instance, with Oxygen and Bricks, you're not going to find sections. Well, you're going to find sections, but they've kind of done away with columns. And I think for the most part, Oxygen has two. Everything's more or less a container or a div or whatever. Everybody's kind of getting away from this whole column aspect. They seem to be using, in terms of the columns, I forget, is it Flex Grid, Flex something? They're using the Flex Grid, which is fine. If you know Flex or anything like that, it's good, it works. It's just the way that they're doing it. But when you get in here, you can actually see, because I think it's in Stylings, it might be in Wrapper. Let's see if it's in Wrapper. No, it's not in Wrapper. It might be in the column itself. Yeah, so you can see you've got your different column width here. So for instance, this column is a 3 width column. If we go in here, we'll see that this is set to auto. I'm actually kind of curious what happens when we go and we set this to auto. So that's nice. That probably makes this look a lot better on auto than it was before. Yes, that is much better. So it kind of auto reduces, which I guess if you're using an image, that's kind of what you want. Now, for somebody who is coming over from Oxygen or Elementor, it's important to note that part of the harder things to understand with Zion Builder, and it's with every builder in general, is understanding how the column widths work and everything like that. Once you understand the structure of how this is built, it's much, much, much easier to take and get started with it. Either way, I do like the fact that they give you this panel, because sometimes you can run into issues where this may be all the way at the top and you can't click it. So you've got different ways of clicking this. And the fact that you've got this sectional view is nice. You've got a section view. This is similar to Brizzy, where you can kind of go in here and you can look at the section, and you can even hide the element and do all of that, cut and paste, cut the element, everything. You've also got the wireframe in here, which once again is very, very nice when you're trying to see where everything stacks up. It's nice the way they did it. It's very, very clean. So once we're in here, if you go into the styling, the first thing you're going to notice with styling is it's very different from what you're used to. The styling section doesn't just open a whole bunch of lists of things that you can change. It immediately opens the wrapper, and with the wrapper section, you've got the ability to add a new intersection. You've got the ability to discard changes. And from here, I think you can go in and you can look at what settings are being displayed. Just like other builders, they'll have a little green dot here. The one thing that I like that I give them is they actually have the ability to discard the changes. This is cool. I wish more builders had this where you could reset it. I know Oxygen does and a couple other ones do, but this is neat that right here I can say, I don't like the display properties. Let me just remove it. And so you could completely remove those display options if you want to. You've got some floating options in here, some flex box, all of that. Of course, this is just the wrapper, but you can also adjust fonts. You can adjust backgrounds. You've got color overlays of all sorts. You can add in images if you want to. So for instance, if we wanted to add in an image, let's go in and add this. Let me move over here, add this image. And now you can see that's added just to the background of that. Of course, I don't like that because that looks stupid. But if you wanted to add an image to here, let's go in and add an image to here. We go to background, image. Once again, add this girl. Now it should wrap the whole entire thing. And from here, you've got many similar stuff that you can do. So repeat. You've got initial. You could scroll, where if you wanted to scroll, you could do that. I don't see anything for parallax, and I'm surprised about that, but for the most part, it works. It does what it's supposed to do. So I've enjoyed that. So this is our basic setup. So let's continue going. Let's, not stop. From advanced, we've got image name and image unique ID. Now, as I understand, this is the ID of whatever you're clicking on. So for instance, if I am in a section, this is the ID of the section, I believe. I could be wrong about that. You've also got some animations in here. You've got quite a few animations. Nothing as robust as, I would say, scrolling animations, but you've got little things that you can add in. So if you wanted to go into here and you wanted to add an animation to your whatever so that it bounced, you could make it bounce. Or you can make it fade in or wobble or do whatever you want to do. Of course, you wouldn't use this for a logo for the most part, but the point is you could do it. You've also got some custom CSS, which you can add here, and you've got some repeater options, which is awesome. We'll get into the repeater a little bit later, but for right now, just say that anybody who wants a repeater who's been looking at it for other builders, it is in this builder. So I know a lot of people have been asking some other builders for repeaters, and they're just not there yet. So let's go into the Zion Builder dashboard again. Let's go to the header. So we're going to assign it here. And make sure you click the Save button after you assign it. And then from here, we're going to build another new component. And we're going to move a little bit faster through this one because we want to take and we want to go through this. I want to show you what it can do. So we'll go into library, the pro sections. We're going to choose just a generic footer. There is a light and dark here, you can see. Let's go with the dark. I like the dark. And then, yeah, we can keep that. That's fine. I mean, we're not trying to make this look as pretty as possible. We're just trying to play with it and show you. So it says editing component header. I'm not sure why it says that. I think, Oh, well, that's my fault. It looks like I accidentally, well, I don't know why it did that. I was editing a footer, but then for some reason it just did that. That's interesting. Something I probably did wrong. That's my fault. I've still been getting used to this. It is a bit of a learning curve. Let me go back and let me redo this real quick. I guess you live and learn with everything that you're doing, but when you're getting started with one of these builders, it's important to note that you're going to have some kind of learning curve. It's going to happen. It's just the way it is. It's the way that these builders are designed. You get used to it after a while, but you know, it does take some getting used to. You shouldn't give up. Definitely don't give up. Let's set that to auto. Let's save this. Let's publish it. Let's close it. So now let's add in a footer. So it does say assign. Let's add in a footer and let's edit it. See, now it says footer. I don't know why that happened. That might have been a bug. Once again, this is not, I'm not going to say that this is the most bug-free builder out of them all. It definitely has some hiccups, but I don't think any of them are breaking hiccups. And that's a good thing to note. Some people who are looking to build websites, you can definitely do it using this builder. So now we go inside and you can definitely see our header and our footer. Even though it's very basic, it's just a start. So from here, we're going to go inside and we're going to mess with one of the home pages. So I'm going to set up a brand new page. Let's call it home. And we'll publish it just to publish it. I get used to that. One thing to note with Zion Builder is if you're someone who is new to Zion Builder or you're trying to understand how it works or whatever the case is, there's a lot that you can do with it. One of the things that I really like about Zion Builder is obviously you've got this page title and everything. You can go in here with the blank canvas and that'll set it to blank if you're just building from scratch. But if you go full width, that will delete that page header if your theme doesn't have it. Unlike many other page builders that are out there, Zion actually does work with other lean page builders. So if you're someone who is looking for or want a page builder, but you want to use it with, you're wanting to use it with like a theme, like Blocksy or something like that, you can do it. Zion Builder's definitely got that. So let's take a look at the templates and let's see what kind of theme we want to build with this. So this is a food theme. This is like a tech theme by the looks of it. Yeah, it's like a branding theme. And we were looking for something with like computer repair per se, because that's what I was trying to build. So maybe something like this. I don't think this looks terrible, although it's a bit long. Let me see. Yeah, this one's a bit long too. So let's go with something basic. I mean, we don't need anything that's crazy. Like, let's go with this. This is good. So we'll insert this in the page, and just like every other page builder you have, you'll get to see exactly how Zion works on the back end. So this kind of builds it for you. And all of a sudden we have this complete page that's ready to go. Similar to what you would have before, but once again, Zion kind of builds it for you. One thing I want to note is that you've got all of these settings to take and go in here and change things. So you can click on it. It's what you're used to. If you want to rename something, you can do it. Your buttons, it's important to note, I don't think you can rename your buttons. No, you can't. You have to go in here to rename your button. So rename button. That's the only way you can rename your buttons. You can type in all the rest of it when you highlight something. So I think, well, I'm saying that you can, but you should be able to. But this may be a bug with this too, where it's blocking it because it's on there. Okay. You can also adjust margins and everything. So for instance, if we want to change margins, you could do that. It's very similar to, like I said, other page builders when it comes to that. These are just simple images, so if we want to go in and adjust them, you could click on here and we could find some images that we want and go in and change some of these images just to take them out. And of course, they would have to be set up correctly for you to kind of do what you want to do. These are different size images, so because they're different size images, this one's a bit taller, you run into stuff like that. But as you can see, I'm moving through this pretty quickly. Changing it is not very hard. When you're going to a section, you can go into a section, and when you go into stylings, you can see what is going on with stylings of that section. So one thing to note is, like I was saying earlier, in the wrapper, in the inner content, you'll start going in and you'll start seeing what the inner content is. So in the inner content, if you go through this, you can make changes to the inner content, which is basically this column. They call that inner content. Although really, in all honesty, it should be called a column because it's called a column before. So this is your section, this is your inner content, and then each one of these are essentially elements that you can go in and you can change or do whatever to. With your images, an important thing to note is that you can go into the image and you can actually add styling to it. So there's link styling and there's image styles. So with image styles, with this selector, if we go in and we want to add filters to it, you can grayscale an image, just like that. You could sepia, you could blur an image. That's a little crazy, but you could blur. You could do an image blur, which is kind of neat. They've also got different blend modes, so you can play with the blend modes of an image. I mean, all of this is, once again, it's standard practice, but it's nice to see that it's in there because you can get creative. It's starting to get to the point where these builders are doing so much with the builder itself that they're actually requiring you less and less to go into something like Photoshop or Affinity or anything else like that. So one thing to note is that when you're using these text solutions, I want you to be aware of something that I ran into that I think is interesting. So these text solutions are pretty cool. I mean, I like the fact that they're there, but then you've got some weird stuff that goes on with the text. So for instance, let's take this. So if I go in here and I want to change this font, you can go into styling, you can go into the wrapper, and you can go into typography. But for the most part, it defaults to the Elements font. I've yet to find a way, unless I've just missed it, where you could go in and set like the font size, like let's say the fonts for headings, body, and all that. You could do it with CSS, but you can't really do it from here, from what I noticed. They tend to leave it blank, so you'd have to go in there and you'd have to set it. If you were using Arial for everything, you'd have to go in there and you'd have to set it with Arial for each and every one of these. Now, obviously, they've got all of this, paragraph, heading, and everything else, but in order for you to have this labeled as a certain font of a certain style, you don't have the theme building that I would like to see. That's something that I would love to see them develop in the future, save time and effort, where if you have something that's just labeled as a paragraph, it's automatically set to a certain font without me using something like CSS to take and do it. Otherwise, you're having to click each and every element in order to take and do that. Now, with that said, you can copy elements, so you can go in and you can go in here and you can paste element styles, which is nice. So if you're trying to change something, let's say I'm trying to change this font, and I go in here and I make the styling, and let's go into, let's see, name styles. Let's go into testimonial styles. Let's change the font to something like Arial. So now we've got Arial. And if we go in here and we copy the element style and then we paste the element style, you'll see it's now set to Arial. So you've at least got that you can kind of take and you can do in the back end that can save on time. But it would be nice if there was like a theme builder built in, sort of like the colors, where I could go in and set fonts Still, that may be something that's part of the custom font section. I didn't get a chance to play with everything, so if I messed up on that, go ahead and mention it down below if I'm screwed up with that. It wouldn't be the first time. It certainly wouldn't be the last time. I didn't have a lot of time to spend with this, but I tried to go through most of it. But as you can see, I mean, most of it is very, very simple. Let me turn this off real quick. It's annoying. Most of it is very, very simple. It's what you're used to. And the best part about all of this is that it does really, really well for what it does. One of the things that they're touting is that this builder is a fast builder. So, I mean, in terms of a page builder, I really, really like Zion. It's done a good job. It's got the pricing that it needs to right now, and I think that it's trying to be competitive, and that's always something that we like to see as builders, and that's one of the reasons why I bought it. I mean, I think it's a super competitive builder right now, and I'm happy to see that we're seeing all these builders that are coming out and kind of competing against the main builders that are out there, because otherwise they're never going to innovate. I mean, if some of these builders don't take and they don't start stepping up their game, we're never going to see them innovate. We're never going to see anything change. Everything's going to stay the same, and they're just kind of like not doing it. One of the things I wanted to talk about that I did not get a chance to hit on, I will hit on it later when I start building full pages with it, is some of the other things that you can do with Zion. So Zion has header folder builder. It says theme builder, so you can build it. It's got blog archive and post builder, which is awesome because it does have a repeater element built in, and it actually does have WooCommerce that's built into it also. So if you're somebody who's kind of been sitting on the fence and you're looking for repeaters for things like, you know, WooCommerce or anything like that, and you're trying to figure out, hey, which builder's right for me, I think that this is awesome. I also didn't get to talk about the fact that it has a modal builder where you could do pop-ups and everything. It's got a slider builder. I mean, it's literally got everything that I could possibly think of. It's got, like I said, a couple of hiccups. One thing to make a note of is it is relatively new. This is not an old builder. This is a new builder. It's probably about a year old, I think, if I remember correctly when I was looking at their change log. But they have this roadmap feature that they've just added. They've shown that they really, really care about their customers. As a matter of fact, before they even did their AppSumo thing, they were very much under the impression that they didn't want to screw their customers, and I think that that's an excellent thing. So I definitely purchased from them because I think that overall they're showing excellent improvement. They're kind of moving through things very fast, and there's a lot of builders out there right now. You have a lot to choose from, but these guys already have a solid standing. They're doing very, very well as it goes with everything else. I mean, they're doing everything they should be. They're listening to the community, which is awesome. They're giving you a $99 license for unlimited. Granted, I will tell you right now, you need to, if you're somebody who's been sitting on the fence, the normal license is like $250, which still is not bad. It's not a bad deal, but it's important to note that this is a limited time offer, and I'm sure that eventually they're going to take and they're going to do away with that license. So just keep in mind, their normal lifetime is like $250, and they're doing it for $99 right now. It's excellent. It's an excellent deal. There's no reason for you not to do it. They're also one of the few that gives you unlimited websites for life rather than 1,000. I've talked to other builders about this. I think it's very compelling when you have unlimited. I understand that there's the abuse factor in people handing out licenses and reselling it and using it and things like that. But for 99 bucks, you could have all of this. You could build one website for 99 bucks. If you don't make a lot of money off of websites, anybody who knows Elementor's got a very, very high pricing. Most website builders have high pricing. Most of them are going over the 250 mark. And so this is making it a very attractive thing for somebody who's trying to build that. And they're going to have more coming out. There's more on the way. There's even white label that's included in this, support and updates and everything. I mean, I love the fact that they already have a solid ground to stand on, because these are things that most people are looking for when they're looking for a builder. A lot of people don't want to wait for repeaters and WooCommerce builders and modals and sliders. They want it like now when it comes out. This is like where you need to be when it comes to a builder. It's hard because for the new builders that are coming out, you have to develop this. They've been in the game a year, and so far they've put a lot of work into this builder, and I'm very interested in seeing where they're going to go moving forward. I think you would be silly to pass this up. With that said, there's one thing I want to take and I want to make very, very clear with you. If you're someone who already has Oxygen, if you're a diehard Elementor fan, if you just bought bricks, or whatever the case is, you're most likely not going to look at this builder. And that's because you've already made your choice, and that's fine. But for those people who haven't made their choice and they've been looking for something that's similar to Elementor, but they want the speed and they don't want anything like that, which we're going to go into speed much, much later on. I'm going to do a speed test with it, and we're going to go through and I'm going to dive into it and see what I can figure out from this builder. But speed-wise, it's very good. It's very good out of the box if you're optimizing everything and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Very similar to that of bricks or Oxygen. But we'll put it in a head-to-head test, and we'll go through that. So anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of preview of Zion. I know that there was a lot that I've talked about, and there's a lot that I went over, but it's just the basics, and it's just the start. If I haven't made you think that it's worth it, I don't know what will. I mean, at this point, you can kind of pick and choose what you like, but for me, it was a definite buy, and I bought it as soon as I got a chance to play with it. Like I said, they even have like a somewhere in here you can find that you can actually play with Zion Builder before, and they answer a lot of the questions that you would be looking for. But if you're someone who, is trying to figure out, should you buy it, should you do it, I think the definite answer is yes. But with the caveat, you're buying it for the future. You're not buying it for right now. It's good right now, but it's going to be so much better a year later. If they've already came out with all of this, I think that this is really a best buy. So I helped you guys out. I'm going to have comparisons later. I'm also going to have speed tests later. That's all coming up in the future. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time.